In May, Top of the Pops was to do something rather unexpected and brave. Despite not being in the top 40, the Stranglers were invited to appear on the show for the first time. Their single Peaches had been banned by the BBC for its sexual content. So they opted to play its double A-side, Go Buddy Go.
Go Buddy Go I wrote when I was 15, and it was Jimi Hendrix meets the Beach Boys, you know.
The Stranglers, to my 7-year-old self, looked like 4 fairly terrifying people. And going back to my analogy, would these people be suitable childminders if anything terrible happened to my parents? These people most certainly did not look like suitable childminders. 3 of them looked like I would die of neglect, and Dave Greenfield, the keyboard player, just looked like he might just actually murder me.
The Stranglers were a breath of fresh air for Top of the Pops, or a blast of bad breath, depending on your taste.
Making their debut on this week's Top of the Pops, here's the Jam and an effervescent U45 called In the City.
An 18-year-old Paul Weller epitomised the new guard of pop stars. Young, loud, and with something to say. Teenagers were back on Top of the Pops.
There's an episode where Kid Jensen helpfully explains that what we've just seen is new wave music, because we don't necessarily know what we're watching when we watch something that makes us feel unexpectedly excited.
The Boomtown Rats here. Bit of social comment for you. Have a listen to the lyrics on this.
It was bubbling under in 76, and in 77 it just exploded.
If you went around with spiky hair at that time in a leather jacket or whatever, or if anyone thought you were a punk, looked different, you were taking your life in your hands, walking down the street sometimes, you know. So it was quite scary times.
People just wanted to take us on, and by 77 we were quite hardened to that. We just didn't care.
When people genuinely did think this is the collapse of the moral order, there's lots of other things politically happening in the mid-70s that might lead you to believe some sort of collapse of order is about to happen. It really does appear that Britain's sort of teetering on the brink of some sort of... There's people, forming private armies and stuff like that. Genuinely. So you can see punk as a kind of manifestation of this discontent.
I didn't touch you.
The rest of Europe considered the UK as the sick man of Europe at the time. My parents lived in France. The French, the take on it was that it was a threat to the monarchy.
I was angry. I was angry about what was going on in the world, and I was angry about this overall blandness of music generally and the way it was presented. So for us to get on Top of the Pops and be angry and be different was important.
In marked contrast to what had gone before, the new wave of bands set out to shock. In January, a man convicted of a double homicide was executed at Utah State Prison by firing squad, at his own request. His name was Gary Gilmore.
This is my life and it's my death.
In August, a song with a macabre vision about Gilmore was climbing the charts.
I'm lying in a hospital, I'm pinned against the bed. A stethoscope upon my eye, I feel against my head. The feeling of the bandages, I'm pointing in the light. The nurses look anxious, squivering with pride. I'm looking through Gary
graphics may have told a chilling tale, but for punk band The Adverts, their first appearance on Top of the Pops was more like a black comedy.
I went to sing and they actually hadn't given me a microphone, they'd given me one of those fake aluminium microphones. So I'm kind of standing there going, "What? There's no vocals on the floor, but I can't sing, there's no microphone." And the floor manager there going, "Why isn't this guy singing? Why isn't he singing? Stop it. Why is he singing?"
Gilmore's eyes, looking through Gary Gilmore's eyes, looking through...
Sir, there's no microphone.
If the technical gremlins were a surprise, so was the treatment of the famous Top of the Pops audience.
The audience were much younger. They were, well, I don't know, they must have rounded them up from a school or something. And it must have been really weird for them because they kept getting herded from one little stage to another. It's amazing that, you know, any of them looked natural at all.
They didn't. They were standing there in their cardigans, frogging about, pretending they were enjoying this, desperately trying to dance to Gary Gilmore's eyes.